A mentally tortured man dreams of running away to a monster paradise. However, he has a slasher villain hot on his heels. He needs to choose whether to stay in the land of the living or become a creature of the night. In this literal creature feature that utilizes every movie-making technique to bring an epic action horror fantasy adventure to scream in Nightbreed. Hello there, you loose units, and welcome back to another episode of Spicy Boy Rewind Reviews, where we go back and have a look at a cult classic through fresh eyes. And today we are looking at Nightbreed, released in 1990. Written and directed by the one and only Clive Barker. Yes, that Clive Barker. We meet Boon, a man not only struggling with his own sanity, but has a magnificent mullet. He has constant dreams of running away to a fantasy monster paradise known as Midian, along with detailed nightmares about home invasions and family slaughters. And wouldn't you know it, the murders have become a full-blown reality. And full details of Boon's dreams has come to fruition. And all of them executed by slasher villain Buttonface. His creepy as shit psychiatrist Dr. Decker, played by David Cronenberg, yes, that David Cronenberg, gives Boon an ultimatum where he has to turn himself into the authorities. Unsure of his own sanity and being gaslit into believing that he is Buttonface,
he's losing his mind. And I'm reaping all the benefits.
thinking that he's a real monster, he wants to run away to his dreamscape monster paradise Midian. However, unfortunately, no one knows where Midian actually is. But wouldn't you know it? After a psychedelic dose of meds, Boon bumps into a coked-up metalhead in hospital, who gives Boon the location of Midian. So he flees on the run, and upon arrival, is bitten by one of the creatures, which we are informed is against the rules. But before Boon can get away, he is cornered by Dr. Decker and a plethora of police officers. This is where Boon is thrown under the bus by Dr. Decker, he frames him, and then he becomes a bullet pincushion. Then Boon's rockstar girlfriend Laurie is summoned to identify the body. But wouldn't you know it, Boon comes back to life. And bolts off before Laurie can get there. It seems that Boon's little toothy injury has given him some powers. And he flees back to Midian, where he is welcomed with open arms and becomes one of the monsters known as the Nightbreed. But Dr. Decker is having none of it! He rallies up an army to storm Midian and burn it to the ground with Boon inside. But of course Laurie does some investigating of her own, tries to track down Boon on her lonesome, which of course can only go well. What happens next is an epic adventure full with practical creature effects and has the most epic explosive ending that late 80s and 90s cinema can offer. You've been mistaken to believe that this movie was a straight up horror film. And that's probably thanks to due to 20th Century Fox's marketing at the time. I know me as a child, when I was in the video rental store and I saw the VHS on the shelf, just looking at it and seeing it was from the same guy who created Hellraiser, again, I was guilty of that too. I thought it was a straight up horror film. And to defend myself of my horror lust back when I was a child, I was still fully engaged in hiring films like Predator and Aliens at the time. And I wasn't fully on board Hellraiser just yet. But this film probably has more in common with The Dark Crystal and Labyrinth more than it does Hellraiser. Yeah, sure, there's some horror elements in it, and there's enough gore, galore, carnage candy to keep you satisfied. But it's more of a fantasy adventure. Everything is on display here. Practical effects, smoke machines, neon light bukkake party. And the film looks absolutely fantastic. It had roughly an $11 million budget, and my god, every cent is up there on the screen.
Spared no expense.
I'm not kidding, this film had some massive sets. And the creature effects are absolutely top-notch. We even get an underground labyrinth filled with Mad Max rejects and lifestyle fleshy Todd McFarlane toys. And the movie is actually shot like a 90s superhero film, and at times, it is one. And on that note, the score is done by none other than Danny Elfman. And if you close your eyes while watching the film, you can hear some familiar cues that he's used in Batman. Even utilising some pieces of music that I swear pops up in Batman Returns. The film is actually based on Clive Barker's novella Cabal, published in 1988. He created a new lore with this film, and it feels like it was the beginning of a saga. Which is correct, because Clive Barker planned on doing a trilogy of these movies, as this movie definitely leaves it open-ended. However, the studio didn't understand Clive Barker's vision for this film, and they were expecting just another Hellraiser movie. And unfortunately, the film was a commercial failure. And of course, they scrapped plans for future films. There were, however, a series of comic books released in the early 90s by Marvel Epic, but this is as far as that planned trilogy went. Hopefully 20th Century Fox learns the error of their ways and stop making stupid decisions and thrive in 2025. This film was kind of X-Men before the X-Men movies. Clive Barker is an openly gay man who wrote a deep lore and story about some freaks who are misunderstood in society. And they are hunted down by a bunch of gun-toting, God-fearing rednecks who don't understand their way of life. As subtle as a sledgehammer movie. I first saw this film at a slumber party when I was young. And as aforementioned, I was expecting another Hellraiser-like film. But I was pleasantly surprised that it was this epic action-adventure, where the monsters are actually the good guys and just misunderstood. As aforementioned, every effect you can think of is on display here and executed extremely well. It has now thankfully become a deep-cut cult classic. And for whatever reason, if you haven't seen it, do yourself a favour. Yeah, everything is on display here in one film. It's magnificent. Yeah, the acting's a little bit shonky here and there, but it's fine. It's a 1990 epic adventure movie. Do yourself a favour, watch this film. It literally has everything. Anyway, guys, that's my cheeky little review of Nightbreed. Right down below if you've seen it, what are your thoughts on it? But more importantly, what is your favourite deep-cut, underappreciated cult classic film? And of course, if you've made it this far into the episode, please give me a thumbs up because your love and support keeps me going, because I just love movies and I assume you do as well. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe icon because I give out episodes weekly. And I'll see you back in next week for the next review, but until then, stay spooky, kids.